So it's my pleasure and honor to welcome you to City Hall today and to say how much we respect and appreciate the mission that you are carrying out. You know, about a year ago, I was kayaking in Johnstone Strait, and I had this amazing experience where a whale came up just probably a dozen yards in front of our kayaks. And the sense of immensity and presence that was so important there. Making that reconnection between the secular and the sacred, and the understanding of how that circle is the circle that we are all in. In public policy, we don't always have the opportunity to have that reflection and that thought process. I wanted to tell you that last Monday, we had the great experience of being able to do something from a public policy perspective that did bring that sense of connection, and that sense of connection to the First Peoples as well. The sense that we are working together on the things that are important to us. As some of you may know, there is a proposal currently before the Federal Drug Administration to legalize genetically engineered salmon. And the deadline for comment was yesterday, actually. And last time I checked, there were about 400,000 comments that have been made, almost all of them in opposition. But not very many cities and legislative bodies have actually taken a step to intervene. We were contacted by some representatives of the Swinomish Nation, as well as some of the other environmental activists around here, and asked to take a formal position as a city council opposing the idea of genetically engineered salmon. And we all know what the risks are. I don't have to go into the technical and the scientific issues around it. But I think what was also so compelling about that was that it was an opportunity for us to reaffirm that sense of connection, of mission and purpose that is so important in what government really should be doing. It's not just about doing the technical things and figuring out what law to write here and how to spend money over there. It's about stepping back and taking that big picture and really respecting and honoring our relationship with the earth and with all of us who are engaged and involved in it. So that's the kind of action that we are all called to do. I know that you are the people who are on the front lines of figuring out how it is that we actually make that heart and mind connection that brings us together. And it is a pleasure and an honor to welcome you. I want to acknowledge my colleague, Councilmember Nick Licata. It's great to see you here. And I regret that I'm going to have to depart because I have several other things that I have to do today. That's one of the aspects of my life that sometimes is good and sometimes is like, maybe I'd rather just stay here. But there it is. But anyway, I wish you a most productive, a warm and working day, but also a day in which is one of connectivity and of bringing people together and of remembering to keep that whole circle connection that all of us value and honor so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. And like Richard, it's one of those days where we're fortunate enough to go to many great events. I'll be heading off after this, actually, the International Children's Festival up at Langston Views, which is a great event. But I want to, like Richard, welcome you here to City Hall in the Bristol Light Landis Room. First elected mayor in the United States, one who's a woman. I also want to recognize the hard work that I'm sure many people have done, but John in particular. Back in 2008, I was able to host a similar event for the Puget Sound Community Change, and there we were celebrating Eco April. And then the Dalai Lama came, we really do Seeds of Passion. And from that, we went on to basically recognize the importance of compassion, bringing people together in many ways, as Richard has talked about, that it's more than just individuals, it's working together and caring for one another. And Seattle at that time became the first city to affirm the Charter for Compassion, I believe. And then, of course, last year we did the Compassion Games in competition with Louisville. I haven't found out if we beat them or not.
We went there to settle the score.
Okay, settle the score.
We got on top.
Okay. We were very compassionate to them, I said.
Well, they said they're so compassionate they offered to come out here and help us beat them.
And there's also the Compassion Action Network International, which is great. I hope that's something we don't talk about. Just saying a few additional words to where I'm coming from and the idea of compassion. I think at the heart of many religions in the world, compassion is a critical element. But so often what happens when we transfer from the religious world, let's say, to the political world, we tend to drop that element, I think. And I think it's really important to think of politics, whether you're Republican, Democrat, or whatever you are on this political spectrum, that compassion is at the heart, I believe, of what drives all of us to want to work with each other to make a better future for our children and a better present, obviously, for ourselves as well. And I think that the great growth that's taken place in the last couple of decades, and I think Seattle's been the lead of it, is recognizing that we have an impact on the environment, and therefore it affects all of us, and that's why we pay so much attention to, for instance, lowering our carbon footprint and doing everything we can to make our technology more sustainable. But it also recognizes that there's real laws that we all live by that we also can change. And in some ways, some of the most significant changes that occurred in the last couple of years regarding those people who are sick and in need of medical care have finally been able to recognize that cannabis is a legitimate plant after all these years and now receiving helpful benefits that way without having to be arrested and thrown in jail. And that's going forward across the country. Over 20 states now have recognized medical cannabis as a legitimate purpose. But then that fits into, I believe, the larger dynamic of understanding compassion for people and understanding that as we have laws that govern our behavior, we also have laws that allow our behavior to help one another. So I'm glad that we consider it an action network. It's more than just feeling good, it's also feeling good and figuring out what the next step is and how to help one another. So thank you all for being here. Great.
Do you hear a hum?
Yes.
Does that make you ready? If I turn this off, let me just see. I don't want anybody to see. Okay.
So let's just know it's the great home.
The great home, that's what Richard said.
There we go.
So it's great to have enlightened leadership like we do in Seattle. That's great. And the welcome is so important. In fact, I wanted you, Sweetwater, given the lands that we're at, to share with us why is the welcome so important and have an authentic welcome.
Gynnwch chish di cian cawn, gynnwch chish ha shalinia, gynnwch chish ha shuka I ivy, gynnwch chish de wamish. I thank the Creator, I thank the Great Spirit, I thank your ancestors for this day. I thank the Duwamish people that we can gather today, here in a good way. Shinoksi nanak duasak, kiksari yare hatzati, gishbuwada ayachat, seed kwedi dachpank, aflish yeh yalikla, nanyai dachpank, shtakin kwan ayachat. My name is Sweetwater Nanak. I'm from the Killer Whale clan of the Siouxsian Nation. My father is from the Raven Frog clan of the Tlingit Nation. I am the grandchild of the Glacier People clan. My great-grandmother, Yadikla, the mother of the Little Ravens, was the precious grandchild of the Upper Living People clan of the Stikine River from Wrangell, Alaska. And I just wanted to thank you all for being here today. And in our culture, in our way, we honor the people of this land, and we ask them to come and do welcoming, a blessing song, and prayer, that we can all come together in one mind, one body, one spirit. I asked Tom Spear to come here today. He's a direct descendant of Chief Seattle, and I guess he's on his way, or we couldn't make it. I also invited my brother here, Paul Wagner, to come and do an opening prayer and a blessing to bless this space here. It's going to clearing the floor, that the work will be done here in a good way. Good of Chief, thank you for listening to my words. This here is my brother Paul now.
Hashkasiam, Sweetwater. Hashkasiam Naschelacha. Thanking you in the old way of our people. I'm from Saanich. That's my tribal affiliation. That's where I'm from. My mother, Mary Wagner, married Tom, her maiden name, the Tom family in Saanich. So I'm happy to be here to share some words that we can come together today in solidarity and share our hearts with each other, and that we can do this work with love in our hearts. Haishka Siam Naschelacha, Haishka Siam, Thithel Siam, thanking the highest honorable one, the Great Spirit. I thank each and every one of you. I thank the Duwamish people, Duch, Haishka, for the Siam people that have always kept peace here. There's a great peacemaker, Chief Siat, and he brought so much peace to the people and gave us so many good words to remember that way of peace. So I'm proud to be on this land and happy to be here, honored and humbled to follow the footsteps of those people. I'd just like to say a prayer in English. I'd like to see strength for each and every one of our families here, that the Great Spirit, Thithel Siam, shines His light down upon those children and those elders in our family, and all the children, strength for them because they are our future. Blessing the Stolik cult, those children, Salt Sitla, the grandchildren, and they're the grandmothers and grandfathers, seeing the Creator's light with them, each and every one of them. Bless the people who are forgotten, who are left behind, who society has not seen, the ones that are hidden, that we do not see. Bless them, that they have comfort today in their heart and their bodies. Blessing them, Siam. Blessing this home here that we stand in, upon the Duwamish people's land. Bless this space here, that only good feelings will be in this space here today, that we can share with each other in the highest way possible, with the blessing of the Great Spirit helping us today. I want to sing a welcome song so that we can welcome ancestors here to help us do this work. And I believe that we all come from people who are part of Mother Earth, each and every one of us. We all come from tribal people somewhere far back, and all of those people needed all of the things that Spirit had given them. And they used them in the best way they could, and they took care of each other inside of those tribal villages. And so I believe that's what we're getting back to today, that we can learn how to take care of each other, how to love one another, and how to be compassionate towards each other, and be thinking people. So that's my prayer today, that we can do this good work. But I'd like to sing this song so that we can honor our ancestors, that we can honor where we came from, and we can work together. Aishkasian, Daha Dups Chuch Siab, in the language here, Daha Dups Chuch Siab. Thank each and every one of you for helping with that prayer, that we, again, can learn how to work together as all of our ancient people knew how to do. Daha düz Seattle.